like it's really hard sometimes to distinguish between my art practice and Culpa, just because like I've made an effort to make Culpa press very similar to my art practice, because that means that I enjoy it as much as I enjoy making art, you know? And so like when we publish books, it's like that's a lot of our income, and then the other half of it is like client work that we do for like whether that's graphic design or printing. And most of the stuff that I do is printing. Like David is the designer of the group. And so like when I'm printing for other people, it scratches a lot of the same itches that printing for myself does, you know? It's like, for me, it's like I don't know, like, it feels very similar to making art, because I'm just making someone else's art, you know?
Yeah.
And so, so that makes me really happy, and so, but yeah, from that point, the only difference is that I really do run Culpa as a business, and it's a very for-profit business. Like I've never been like a community space or a non-profit. I mean, we do things like that, you know, we do a lot of things for the community, and a lot of things, you know, like helping out sort of non-profit art galleries and organizations, but to me, what's interesting about publishing is a lot of it is the business side of it. And the reason for that is because of what we were kind of saying. Like, it's a way for people to collect art at a level that's affordable and practical, but also on the back end of that to be able to like pay percentages to the artists that we work with, so that it's another like kind of I mean, obviously there's a lot of labor involved, but since it's on the back end, like kind of like a passive revenue stream for them, you know? So like when we sell one of our books that we made with an artist, we give them a percentage of the sales, and that way it's like we're making money, they're making money, but we're not making like a killing, you know? But it's like everyone's kind of like compensated for their time, which I feel like in the art world maybe that doesn't happen as much. You make a lot of things in good faith, and then hopefully you sell them. To me, like the scale of publishing just makes more sense, because it's like, I just think that the idea of like convincing 200 people to buy a $30 book is a little bit more and easier to wrap my head around than convincing one person to buy like a $10,000 work. Yeah, and the more people that can kind of like join in on that, it's kind of the better. And you know, when someone buys your book and they enter that space with you, they've made this like willing choice to kind of like, you know, like think about this idea with you. And those kind of ideas like circulating and building are like what create like kind of zeitgeist, right? Like this idea that everyone's kind of having this shared thought, and that's what shapes culture. And so for me, it's like the things that I admire that have shaped San Francisco, most of them are books and magazines. Like, you know, it's not like there's a lot of artists that I admire, but most of the way that I learned about them were through books. There used to be more of here, which was like a very like counterculture alternative publishing scene. And a lot of the problems we have, I think, are like kind of like moving away from that, you know, like this idea of community through publishing.